simple words, why are we here? Today is, do you remember when we used to be in school? And after a whole term, we get to listen and receive our reports and get to know what went wrong, mainly when our parents are watching. Well, today is a bit different, but we're going to keep one thing serious. We are going to know what is possible from a question that was asked 2 years ago. Allow me to give more context on that. Now, when most of you are here, you received a brief, and I'm sure you are very familiar with the SAFREC project that you've seen, and this is mainly making sure that we have some climate resilient products in the microfinance institutes, and 4 of the institutes were given a try, and they loaded up a couple of interventions, different products. Today is more of answering that question. Is it possible, to be honest, as different players that are here, is it actually possible for us to have some climate resilient products run and be successful? So we've collected enough data. The farmers have given us enough information. And this morning is for us to understand what happened, what worked, and what can be scaled. And of course, I'm not the person that is going to make sure you understand that. We have different speakers from different levels, and we have a speaker that is going to be, it's good enough, you can see the agenda. We are not hiding anything, so you can see where we are. We're going to have the Code country manager to give us the context of why we are here. And then after that, we'll hear from our guest of honor. Once we do that, we'll love to take the photos a bit before. The reason why we do that is to make sure that there are some of us that might be engaged or called in urgently and you have to leave, and then we don't pick you in a photo when we take it in the last minute. So we want to take it before, and then we are good to go. After that, we'll go into the core understanding. Start with one of the microfinance partner that was given a chance to run this project, and then we'll go into the learnings, the key findings, the scalability possibilities of this project, and that is going to be presented by Code. And then we'll go into the heart of today, which is a panel discussion. This is where we clearly understand what happened, how did it go, how did the different players work together, government, regulators, the microfinance institutes, the farmers. And from there, we are now going to also give you a chance to ask questions. They might not have touched a few things and you want to clarify, because again, the reason why we are here is for you to go back and say, can I do it myself? That is the question you have to be listening into. So as you listen at every speaker, at everything going on, have that at the back of your mind. Can I take it back home? That should be your question. Now, the questions you have to ask yourself: what do I need? What worked for this person? What did the regulators say? What is Minagri saying? And who do I need to talk to? I'll give you 30 minutes for that, and then we'll go into the closing remarks and the key takeaways conclusion of the day. So I hope it's going to be smooth and simple, and I hope you're ready for today. Are you ready for today? Thank you very much. I am going to acknowledge the different players that we have in the house. And I gotta say, this is a serious room, because we have microfinance partners that are with us here. We have BNR representative, we have Minagri representative, Kofin, we have insurers, we have experts in the finance sector. We have everyone that has played a role in making sure that this project works. And we also have climate experts, because that's the cornerstone of the whole conversation. So I hope you're ready to share, and please don't feel like you're in a conference or a summit. Feel free to ask a question whenever we give you a moment, and always feel free to take notes. And I hope you also get a chance to ask for these recommendations later on. I think they can be shared to you so that you can be reading through when you get time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the context, and I'm going to begin the day in style. Allow me to welcome the first speaker of the day. Please allow me to welcome the country manager of Code Rwanda, Mr. Patrick Wirasa, to deliver the opening remarks.
As Atta said, this is unique. We have different representatives of key institutions in Rwanda. We have BNR, we have Minagri, Rwanda Green Fund, so RCA, and most of those we see them in the panel. And in this room, we have financial professionals, climate experts, policymakers, regulators, microfinance experts, CEOs, operations, and other officials from microfinance and the banking sector, insurance companies, and our fellow colleagues from development partners. We thank you all for this sacrifice, really considering this event as important, and leaving you, I can imagine you, Lord, the work you have back in your institutions. Coded is a Dutch NGO, belonging to two umbrellas. One is the Protestant wing and the Roman Catholic wing. We are from a religious background, but our mission is to strengthen the capacity and the resilience of the people and the communities they work with, so that they are better prepared and for the future challenges. Actually, this conference there is in line with our mission, climate resilience. We have been working with financial institutions, and today we have a unique example where I did a pilot test with the 4 institutions. Really, I do appreciate them. They are present, and we hear from them. Inhunga, Kwekamejo Heza, CPF Ineza, and Mutanguha, implementing this program, strengthening smallholders farmers' resilience to climate change project. We hear the uniqueness. Climate is an issue. We are not denying. Some are still, even high-rate people, they are still in denial. But climate is an issue. Climate change is an issue, and we see it every day. But how do we build the resilience? And we think the way Coded does, we are an international organization with the localized approach, and we use the market system development approach. What is preventing the smallholders farmers to access to market? And we believe that in the local-led approach for sustainable interventions, we can overcome those challenges. And with the local-led, indeed, it's now we see an example, our partnership with the AMIR. It's not actually today partnership with AMIR. It started a long time ago. I remember even I served in the first board of AMIR. This was 2000 something. I still remember. But at that time it was a Terrafina, and we have been really partnering. And they went to assure a systemic change. And we strive to create future opportunities, even though challenges are still prevailing. And we do actually say, access to finance is very key, as you all know. But indeed, you have to develop strategies there to strengthen of access to finance. And the climate resilience is really part of it. What we did in the past is the capacity building of financial institutions, market assessment, product development, risk management, capital mobilization, business planning, digitalization, financial education. And they still have programs, even now running, you may call TREPA, the program we have in climate resilience in Eastern Province. TREPA stands for Transformation of Eastern Province through Adaptation. We have a Congo-Nile Divide. It's another program where we're trying here to build the climate, the farmers' climate resilience. Coded is still committed to support all the efforts and implement and promote strategies aiming at sustaining sector aspirations and having market-led agriculture sector. And the ultimate goal is really to support households to generate more income. In the past, I would recall that we have been supporting smallholders farmers. We record a number of more than 100,000 farmers who have been sustained. And they have been working with the multiple financial institutions. And actually this week we have another memorable event of signing MOUs with the new D Circle for the aim of continuing supporting the sector. And they may recall many value chain. Now we have tapped new value chain, further, you may call further trees, beekeeping, all those new products that they are promoting climate resilience. Yeah, we thank you for this learning event, and we know it will be fruitful, seeing here the participants, the culture of participants, and we reiterate our commitment to implement a new strategy for agriculture, finance, and climate resilience, the green. And we thank you for your presence, for your sacrifice, for your commitment. And allow me for this moment to invite the first guest of honor for opening our conference. Thank you so much.
Country Director of CODED, dear body member of AMIR, dear representative from government institutions, dear MD from microfinance institutions, CEO of CEOs, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Madam Tseneza. Yeah, it's my great honor and privilege to join you today at this important stakeholder dialogue focused on climate resilience and inclusive finance in advancing Rwanda green economy and climate resilience agenda. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to organizers, meaning AMIR, Association of Microfinance Institutions in Rwanda, and the partnership with CODED Rwanda for convening this timely and meaningful dialogue. This collaboration reflects a shared commitment to build an inclusive and responsible financing with integrating climate resilience mechanism in the financial sector ecosystem. Today's theme, unlocking sustainable growth in agriculture finance, the strategic role of microfinance institutions in advancing climate smart solutions, is both timely and urgent. It's aligned with directly with Rwandan national priorities for sustainable climate resilience economic growth. As set out in the National Strategy for Transformation, NST2, the country aims to achieve an average annual growth rate of 9.3%, largely driven by private sector investment, with the domestic financial sector playing a pivotal supporting role. However, achieving our ambition goals require more than policy and practical commitment. It demands financial systems that are inclusive, innovative, and access to all. Inclusive finance that leaves no one behind play a transformative role in this journey. We have achieved an impressive overall financial inclusion rate of 96%, with formal inclusion of 92%. Financial exclusion has further declined from 7.7% in 2020 to 4% in 2024. Furthermore, the adoption of digital financial services continues to grow, with 86% of Rwanda using mobile money and 75% of active owning registered mobile wallets. These achievements demonstrate the strong foundation we have built. However, the next front is ensuring financial inclusion contribute meaningfully to social and economic transformation, not only by expanding access, but deepening the adoption and effective use of financial services. Dear colleagues, advancing Rwanda green growth and the climate resilience agenda is a shared responsibility. It requires strong collaboration between the government institutions, financial institutions, development partners, and the private sector. As government, we remain committed to sustain this momentum through the National Strategy for Transformation (NST2) and ongoing efforts to strengthen green finance and climate investment frameworks. In this spirit, I encourage microfinance institutions and circles with the strong growth route present to lead and expand this transformation by integrating climate consideration into financial products and services. Many farmers and small enterprises continue to face significant barriers to financial access, including limited collateral, high cost, and viable financial products. This underscores the urgent need for innovation, climate-smart agriculture financing solutions that respond to the realities of the ground. At the same time, I call upon insurance companies to play a more active and strategic role in this space by creating innovative insurance products that can mitigate those risks and unlock greater financing opportunities. These events provide a valuable platform for learning, sharing experiences, and identifying practical solutions that can be scaled upon across the country. I encourage all participants to focus on practical solutions that will close financing gap and expand impact, particularly for smallholder farmers, women, and youth. Financial inclusion must not only widen access, it enables resilience, sustainable, and opportunity for all. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I invite us all to renew our commitment to building a national system that is not only inclusive, but also resilient and sustainable. Together, we can unlock sustainable growth in agriculture, finance, and advance climate-smart solutions that will benefit currently and future generations. I would like to leave you with this reflection. The true measures of financial inclusion is not access alone, but whether it empowers people and businesses to invest in a resilient, sustainable, and previous future. I wish you fruitful deliberations and a successful event. I thank you.
And I think the two elements touched on, it's not just about the access, but also looking at the possibility of adopting. Uyu munsi rero niyo mpamvu turi hano kubera ibyabaye muri iyo pilot nkuko babivuze, ngira ngo country manager wa Codaid yabitangaje wavuga ati ni projet yamaze imyaka 2, it's a pilot, ni ugusuzuma no kureba niba byashoboka kandi hari amasomo yavuyemo. Uyu munsi rero ikibazo twibaza ni ikibazo cyoroshye cyane, ni ikibazo kigira giti ese koko mu Rwanda inkunga duha abahinzi bashobora kuba bahangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere birashoboka ko twayitanga, izo products zirashoboka mu Rwanda birashoboka? Is that financing possible? Can we finance climate resilience agriculture products here in Rwanda? And we are looking at all the different players here, both the insurers that make sure that we are safe and insured, managing the risks, the regulators that make sure we are playing in the exact framework yashizweho ku rwego rw'igihugu, and we have Minagri who is speaking on behalf of the government but also on behalf of the farmer, and we also have microfinance institutions ziri hano. Abenshi turi hano kwiga, hari n'abandi bari hano kudusangiza ibyo babonye, and impamvu twabikoze no kugira ngo turebe niba mu byukuri byagera kure ku rwego rw'igihugu. And to begin, allow me to introduce one of the microfinance institutions that participated in this program of strengthening smallholder farmers' resilience to climate change, and that is none other than Klekam Ejoheza, one of the 4 SAFREC partners, and it's going to be represented by Inyos Havgiyaremye, Head of Operations and Transactions. It's going to talk us through what it actually looks like to design and deliver climate-smart financial solutions for smallholder farmers. So Inyos, the floor is all yours.
Intego rero cyangwa intumbero ya Klekam no kugira uruhare mu kuvanaho ubukene mu Rwanda, hatangwa serivisi z'imari n'izindi zijyana nazo kandi zitanga umusaruro zitanzwe mu buryo bwa kinyamwuga hifashishijwe ikoranabuhanga by'umwihariko ku bahinzi, aborozi, abagore n'urubyiruko. Indangagaciro icuranga n'ubunyangamugayo, ubufatanye mu iterambere, serivisi yihuse, gukorera mu mucyo n'imari kuri bose. Reka mbagezeho uko mbere y'uko twinjira muri uyu mushinga na SFAREC byari bihagaze muri Kirekam ejo heza. Mbere nta bumenyi buhagije twari dufite ku bijyanye n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere cyangwa se n'ingaruka bishobora kugira ku bukungu, kandi nta shoramari rigeneye ibi bikorwa bijyanye no kurengera ikirere twari dufite. Donc nubwo twari abahinzi twafinansingaga abantu mu buryo busanzwe, ariko twari tuzi ko dushobora gushora imari muri iyi program cyangwa se muri ubu buryo bwo kurengera ikirere ngo bikunde. Icyo gihe rero inguzanyo z'ubuhinzi yego twari tuzifite, ariko ntabwo twari dufite umwihariko cyangwa se value chain ya buri gihingwa kugira ngo tubashe kubijyanisha n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Ikindi nuko product zacu twari dufite product imwe yitwaga Gira heza muhinzi. Iyo product niyo twari dufite dusavingamo abahinzi bose. Aho rero uyu mushinga uziye ndaza kubereka uko byahindutse. Ikindi nuko nta product twari dufite ku bijyanye noneho n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Abahinzi nabo nta bumenyi bari bafite, kuko babahaga amafaranga bakajya guhinga mu buryo busanzwe bwa gakondo. Ibibazo rero byari bihari mu buhinzi nuko iby'ingenzi ni ingaruka ku mihindagurikire y'ibihe ku musaruro w'ubuhinzi. Hari aho twahuraga n'ibiza nk'abantu dufinansinga mu muceri, ugasanga umuceri warengewe, cyangwa se abandi bahinzi bahinga imyumbati ugasanga yarwaye n'ibindi. Ikindi ntabwo twari tuzi cyangwa se ntitwabashaka kubwira abahinzi bacu kubigisha guhitamo imbuto igendanye n'ahantu bagiye guhinga no guhitamo imbuto zidafite ibibazo, kuko ikirere nyine imihindagurikire y'ibihe y'ikirere yazanyemo n'uburwayi, ibihingwa byinshi bigenda birwara. Rero iyo bahingaga izo mbuto zitigeze zigeragezwa ngo harebwe nimba nta bibazo zagira, byabageragaho ingaruka, bigatuma abahinzi akenshi uburwayi buboneka. Cyane cyane ibyo byabonekaga mu myumbati, indwara yitwa kabore, ndetse no mu rutoki cyane cyane. Ibyago rero byari byinshi mu gutanga inguzanyo ku bahinzi, harimo kwamburwa, ariko nabo abahinzi bitabaturutseho kuko byabaga bitewe nyine n'ibyago bahuye nabyo, byabiza byabayeho bikafekitinga abahinzi natwe ikigo cy'imari. Ubumenyi kandi bwari buke ku bahinzi nk'uko nabibabwiye, bigatuma uburyo babikoramo n'ubundi nabo bagira uruhare mu kwangiza ikirere. Ibi rero abakiriya benshi batumaga guhinga, iyo bahingaga banezaga bike, kwishyura bikaba ibibazo. Uruhare rw'uyu mushinga rero aho uziye, SFAREC dutangiye gukorana mu kongera ubushobozi mu ishoramari ribungabunga ibidukikije. Twafashije abahinzi gukora, twabashije gukuraho za nzitizi twari dufite zijyanye n'uburyo product zacu zari designinze. Dukora product zijyanye na buri value chain, kandi ku buryo buri muntu wese uri muri iyo value chain abasha kugiraho uruhare. Ibi twabifashijwemo na Codate, idufasha gushaka abakonsilita babifitemo ubunararibonye, hanyuma dukorana izo product n'izindi product zari zihari nazo tubasha kuzivugurura. Ikindi twabashije gukora dufashijwe na SFAREC, ni manuel de procedure ya epargne na credit ndetse n'ijyanye na risk and compliance. Hanyuma dukorana manuel ya climate resilience, cyane cyane ko ino manuel regulator wacu ayidusaba. Hari igihe batubwira bati mu complying kuri ibi ngibi ku bijyanye na climate resilience, ariko tukibaza aho tuzahera bikatuyobera. Aho rero Sufarek ibashije kuza gufatanya natwe, twabashije gucomplyinga ibyo twasabwaga. Kugeza ubu nta kibazo gihari kuri izo manuel, turazifite ndetse twumva dufiteho ubumenyi buhagije. Rero mu bufatanye na Sufarek twabashije guhugura abakozi batangaga inguzanyo. Akenshi wasangaga bazitanga nabo batazi icyo bagenderaho. Rero abakozi barahuguwe, abaron officer barahugurwa, hahugurwa management team ndetse na board barahugurwa. Ibyo byatumye twese twinjira mu mujyi umwe wo kumva akamaro ko gufinansinga climate agriculture irengera ibidukikije. Hahuguwe kandi n'abahinzi. Abahinzi barahuguwe kugira ngo bamenye uburyo nabo bajya kwinjira muri iyi gahunda. Ndaza kubereka, hari aho dufite abahinzi ngira ngo twahageze. Dufite abafashamyumvire abo bita FSIs. Dufite aba FSI bagera mu 180 bagiye bari muri district zitandukanye. Aba rero badufasha kumvisha abahinzi uburyo bashobora gukoramo biriya bintu. Hariya iriya foto ni uburyo tuba facilitating nabo kugira ngo bagere ku bahinzi. Tubaha amagare, tukabaha na incentives ku buryo bashobora kubasha nabo kugira insimbura mu byizi babona. Kugira ngo bidufashe kugera ku bahinzi neza, dukoresha amatsinda. Amatsinda akenshi mwabonye ko dufite na target y'abagore n'urubyiruko. Amatsinda menshi abarimo abadamu. Hariya rero tubigisha gusevinga, ariko nyuma yo gusevinga bakajya no kwiga uburyo bwo guhinga muri buriya buryo twabwiye bwo kurengera ibidukikije. Ariya amatsinda rero tuyafashwamo n'abari abafashamyumvire ba FSIs. Bariya nibo badufasha kugenda babyumvisha amatsinda. Rero bimwe mu byagezweho nyuma y'uyu mushinga wa Sufarek nuko twabashije gutanga inguzanyo nyinshi zariyongereye cyane cyane mu buhinzi. Najya mbabwire ko nk'ikigo cy'imari cy'abahinzi n'aborozi 60% y'inguzanyo zacu ziri mu buhinzi, kandi nta risk ikabije tugira kuko ntabwo NPR yacu igirenga 3. Rero tumaze kwinjira muri umushinga na Sufarek byaduhesheje amahirwe menshi. Nk'ubu BRD yabashije kutwemerera amafaranga leta iba yashyizemo nkunganire kugira ngo abahinzi bayabone kuri tontoya, aho twahawe miliyari 3. Ubu deja twamaze no kuzikonsoma, twarazirangije mu mezi atarenga 2, kubera ko abahinzi twebwe nibo bakiriya benshi dufite. Ibi rero kubera yuko twabashije gucomplying ibyo basaba kugira ngo ayo mafaranga yabone, binatewe n'ubufatanye twagiranye na Sufarek, byatumye BRD yaduha mu buryo bwihuse, kandi natwe tuyageza ku bahinzi mu buryo bwihuse. Ahubwo ubu turi hafi kuzajya kubasaba ndi. Rero nyuma y'uyu mushinga ko twakoze launch mu kwezi kwa 8 umwaka ushize, byatumye hiyongeraho kuri portefeuille yacu hiyongereyeho miliyari zigera kuri 4 biturutse muri ubu buryo twakoresheje, kuko hajemo na launch tubasha kumenyesha ubuyobozi n'abaturage igikorwa turimo, noneho tujyanamo twese tubasha kubishishikariza abaturage. Ikindi nuko ubumenyi bw'abakozi bwariyongereye. Ubu nta mukozi ugipfa gutanga inguzanyo gutyo. Dufite tools nk'iyo bita ECAT idufasha kumenya kuri buri hegitari hazajyaho ibingana iki, ndetse tukifashisha n'ama insurance ku bahinzi banini kugira ngo batazahura na kiriya kibazo. Ikindi ni uko byadufashije kuzuza ibyo dusabwa na regulator wacu. Muri make birashoboka ko ibigo by'imari iciriritse bishobora kugira uruhare runini mu gufasha abahinzi guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe, kandi imari ishobora gufasha iterambere rirambye mu buhinzi. Murakoze.
I'll be introducing another speaker, and this is going to be the program manager for climate resilience at Code 8, Sylvie Mugabekazi, and she's going to be tackling mainly on the monitoring and evaluation and the key learnings that were picked at the project, to also look at the evidence that was shared. So munyemereye ngira ngo tubashe kuba twakoresha umwanya neza. I would ask Sylvie to take us through this moment. What were the key learnings and what can we learn from this project?
How do we share knowledge? What is there? What is the risk? And our partners, MFI, they are very commendable because we started from the board. And if there are also some board members here, I would like also to acknowledge really the board of those MFIs, because their engagement contributed to the progress. Initially, when you talk of climate with the MFIs, they said ours is Rwandan francs, so our indicator is that one, and number of clients. We don't think really climate matter. We can still hear from the news. We can still hear from here in the neighborhood, but I don't know if we need that in-house. But from discussion we had with the board, understanding the threat outside and the threat to the institution, they were really engaged. Then we got their approval now to start discussing with the executive management. And the management, direct management of the MFIs were also willing. Maybe they will share their own. What was the challenge? Yes, they did not tell, but as we discussed, we get to hear also what were the challenge, because the load was not smooth. But after that intensive capacity building that went up to the loan officer, enabled the staff to understand even the gap from agriculture, understanding the agriculture value chain, but how also climate risk can be incorporated without engaging again the MFI to hire new staff or specialists within the branch, because you know we are also working with limited resources, especially when it goes on operational costs. So efficiency is enough, but is not efficiency is necessary. But with those training, we were able to raise champion in agriculture value chain, because now when you come as a farmer, you are not only a farmer, but we get also to understand what are the actors within those value chain that are connected there, but also to understand what are the climate risks within that value chain, because we discussed really enough the risk for beans. They are not similar to banana value chain if we goes by. So the training enabled or unlocked that knowledge within MFI staff. I would say that we have around 300 staff trained in they are not only staff from management in the 3 MFIs that we worked with. So it's really a good achievement and a commitment from the MFIs, because we know time is limited. Sometimes you are in the reporting time, there you are in recovery and all other process. And also I learned along the way from chemistry to environment. Now I can also speak the language of some bit of language from the microfinances, thanks to the interaction and engagement. So what also we did, after the capacity building, we intensively reviewed what were the institutional gaps in terms of processes. How are we going to integrate? Starting from the policies, the procedure, and also product development. Products were refined. We also, new products were introduced, because some of them refined their product to be also agriculture value chain sensitive, also to include some climate sensitivity, so that this can be also as this was the expected output. Last but not least was the piloting. That's when their commitment about availing capital was evident, because piloting needed to engage clients so that they can borrow, so that they can start saving under those refined products. And also that phase was very well. It went up to, we used almost 4 to 6 months for some of the MFI, and then we were able to launch the final product. Those were the steps we went through the product development. Krekam also has mentioned about some of them. Please, next. Yeah, talking of numbers, that's more visible. That's what almost what I was saying, that we started from the institutional integration and then product development, capacity building. We piloted at some selected branch, not all of them, but always targeting smallholder farmers, and then these are the business case we are developing. Not all the products that we have refined or developed were rolled out. There are some that were not relevant during the pilot phase, that were not rolled out, that are not confirmed as products at the level of the MFI, which was really a good pathway for learning. Next. I would say that at the level of the institution, those were the achievements. For the product design, we would say that now from generic financial product, now we have climate resilience and value chain-based financing at the level of all the MFI. Regarding the risk assessment, from only taking into account financial risks as regulatory, but also as a sector requirement, also financial climate risk were also included. And when we do climate risk, we also do risk at the institutional level, at the loan level, and also at the client level. What were those risks and how climate can do at all those 3 levels. So sometimes they are demonstrated, of course, through document, but documents are not static. They are also not final and perfect. They will still be reviewed and be updated, but they are in place. Another thing is about insurance. We know insurance, life insurance is mandatory, but moving from crop insurance being absent, now at some level I would say that the baseline is now optional. At least they can ask a farmer, do you need a crop insurance? But previously it was not there. Thanks to the insurance companies, if they are all here, we thank you, because we engaged them during the awareness so that they can meet staff. They explain what are the package, what are the requirements. We couldn't explain because also MD, our country manager, mentioned that we are using market system development. It's all about bringing actors together for discussion. So when at that level, we do not say insurance, because we know we have BK, we have Radiant, we have other, just to name a few, not all of them. They were engaged all along the way to engage with those staff. But now at some level, from 0, we have optional as a crop insurance, and for big farmers, now they can be obliged to take the crop insurance. Of course, the package we still have, there are those subsidized crop insurance, but they are also still needed. It's one of the measures for climate resilience. Another thing is about repayment term. Some have already reviewed, but there was repayment term, some similar for different crops, because there were agriculture loan, but repayment differs per crop, because depending on the harvest, depending on the conditionality and the value chain, how it is structured. There were some, now there are options where you can pay monthly or at the harvest period, and harvest period would be different for different crops. It was also another improvement that was brought in during that journey. Another thing is, last but not least, client engagement. which was not there, of course, with the support from the project, but also from other partners who also see that why now they are able to provide at some extent advisory and training. Like when Krekam mentioned about that one, that they are supporting, we have seen they were able to provide bicycle. Those were not from Sfarek. It was another partnership. But because they were already working on that, they have seen that they have that need to reach to farmer. And they were able to, also to grab or to reap from availability of a partner that was able to support to be able to reach to farmer. So partnership is also another key in the climate resilience, especially when working with different partner or a large number of clients. Yeah, next. Yeah, at client level, now we would say that with on the climate indicators that were included into the loan assessment and even in the product card or financial product card, productivity were able to increase because now farmers, from news in the radio, from awareness and elsewhere, they were surprised to find that even banks are now asking about climate smart agriculture practices. Do you have erosion control? Do you have agroforestry? Then they were like, we thought this was from Minagri. How come do we find this now in the MFI? But that was one of the climate resilience practices that was needed at the bank level. Now we would say that with that implementation, it is demonstrated that when we use sustainable agriculture, productivity increases because some of them respond to climate resilience. So if our farmers are able to embrace that one, if they can have access to finance to implement those activities, so productivity increases. Again, is the income stability because now they understand at which time to go for a loan. Because during the assessment, you would have a farmer who comes for a loan in May for inputs that would be used in September. And we know how intensive the period of June and September is very intensive with weddings, with all social functions, and through that time, the loan will be expelled. There is no longer money to buy those inputs, and it is due for payment. So then it brought some instability, but now at the level of the bank, they know what is the peak season for farmers to come and for loan, and it is also considered during loan assessment. They can give the loan in installment instead of giving the whole loan because it also minimizes the risk. Although it does not consider, yes, the climate, but it's also another best practice that was brought in. Those are other things that I have mentioned. I would say also financial inclusion increased because all the products were tailored in mind with inclusion about women and youth, and where possible to allow women to access in the credit assessment process to be facilitated, even conditionality and interest rate. There are some allocation for reduction when a partner is there, or even at the level of MFI for some value chain, depending on different conditions. But when you discuss, you see that, yeah, it's cross-cutting and it can be embedded into financial services. Yeah, those are numbers because now we are going to see at a glance what were the numbers. Different farmers were interviewed to see how was the experience working with climate-sensitive financial products. We engaged with the MFIs to see how is the status, how in terms of numbers, and how they describe qualitatively or not. But those are the methodology that were used to gather the information. Next, please. Yeah, these are the experience. Not all they don't have similar products, similar value chain, similar branches from different locality, not all of the same, but we can share, like Nya said now, during that season, after review of the financial product, the borrowers increased. They shared that they have already used the 2.5 billion, so 2 or 4, I think, 3.8, from them, in addition to their own capital that they has availed. It is now total loan disbursed is equals to 4 million. For CPF, it's around 1 billion. And also we have Umutanguha, one of our partners, that shared. We also have Inhunga that was able to share some of their data that they are using on a different value chain and with a different partner. But you can see that commitment is really high at the level of the MFI, and that the status or the, how can I say, life from the insurance is also standing good. And the female borrowers also, it's at a level of, that is satisfactory. These are numbers depending on the size of the MFI. When it is 20% does not mean that they have less women, but it also depends on the portfolio for the agriculture, because they also have other portfolio. Next, please. And for the loan disbursement, when we say adaptability and understanding which season for farmers, we would say that on those, although they are minima, but the peak you see, they are between the month of September up to January. That is season A for agriculture, and that's when they are very responsive. They no longer disperse all the year long. They don't disperse loan agriculture. They just do that seasonal, depending on the need of the farmer, which was very well uptaken. And as also he mentioned that the NPL is compliant, although it is not zero, but you would say that in the agriculture portfolio, they are well performing. Next, please. Yeah, those are also numbers when we talk about the experience of farmers with climate-sensitive financial products. They have reported that productivity increased because it was not zero, but because it's also conditional when they are implementing with sustainable agriculture practices, productivity increases, and 64% they mentioned that they have already adopted with the practices. Some of them they used to have 84, but 64 it was new for them. And also they believe and they perceive that it supports them to be more climate resilient, and they would recommend the product to 95%, which is also good. Next, please. Yeah, those are the transformation. We have mentioned that when we go to government and policy alignment in terms of climate resilience, when we started, alignment was almost zero. We couldn't find any evidence within the MFIs in 2023 about climate resilience, environmental risk, and anything. So it was almost none. Now it's operational. Climate risk integration, it is now operational. They use that into loan assessment. And also at the level of operations at the bank, we would say that it is still a gray, partial, and operational, because when we compare within the different MFIs. But regarding the greening of the portfolio, they have all a climate-sensitive agriculture portfolio, which is embedded into their system. Because of climate, at the level of climate, at the level of client, we can see that. At the level of the MFI, we can also identify. Yes, please. Next, we have already talked about that. Yeah. So this is about inclusion. When we talk of women and youth inclusion, all the farmers interviewed, they said that 85% that women, they need access to finance, access to loan or financial product. And however, when you see at the borrowing level, as we have shared, we are still below 50%, although they are at 85%. Those are the situation within those MFI and in the location where they are working from, not national statistics or national numbers. However, when they are asked why, women said a collateral requirement is still a burden because the decision at the family level, when they need to take a loan, they register sometime husband, if it is a family, or if they need also to decide for the women to advance the business idea, it is still a challenge for her to go instead of the husband. And again, it's financial literacy. They still fear or not knowing, they don't know where to start. At 35%, they expressed that they have limited financial skills, and also they feel documentation requirement is a burden, it's still high, they cannot go about it. The decision making also controlled by husbands head at the level, that's a cultural and social norm. And again, the geographical distance was mentioned, but at 4%, not all of them, they did not say banks are very far, which means accessibility in terms of distance is not there, but other gaps mentioned above, other barrier, they are still relevant. Yeah, next. That one we have mentioned that insurance is still optional or a gap, but as we upscale and as we discuss, we get also to hear what is in the making to enable all farmers to be able to access the insurance. But those were the number, and about understanding about the 35% of 35 farmers asked about insurance. Those were their numbers. They mentioned that 24 of them said, yeah, we understand, we know there is crop insurance, because some of them have also done the awareness. Others say, yeah, I know there are some crop insurance, but 4 of them, they said, oh, no, that's new, I don't know what it is. But insurance, we know it's very relevant. It's one of the key measures and how it can be embedded into MFI's process. We know banks, they are advanced, but also at the level of the MFIs and other instruments that we will discuss here will enable us to understand and how we can go about it to also enroll and embed insurance into the processes. Next, please. Those were the evaluation conclusion about the project, how it was in terms of relevance. Yes, it was, the relevance was high. Effectiveness was between moderate and high, because of course, depending on the evaluation, data gap is also another challenge that we will mention as we are learning or as we share experience even from other MFI. But efficiency also was good, because the output are aligned with the expected objectives of the project, and the impact you can see from number that it is not at 0. There was a need at the level of the MFI, and we did only 4 MFI, yet we have a large number. We are also doing that in other projects to see how we can upscale, but still, as we are all here in the room, we understand, we feel the appetite that we can do better in how we are doing. Yeah, next please. So as key lessons, we would say that from SFAREC we have learned that enabling environment is key, especially regulatory environment. I would say that we were pushed with the publication of guidelines regarding climate risk assessment at the financial institution level. Also our MFIs, as they mentioned, when we first talked about climate, it was new, but because it aligned with the requirement of the regulator, it was quick. So it is also good to go with when we have an enabling environment. Also to have a value chain based approach in financing was another good learning that would say, if you have an agriculture portfolio, but you don't also go deeper and understand different value chain actors and clients, there are potentiality that are not yet explored. And also building on existing behavior was accelerating because we did not start from 0. Already there was some basic knowledge, but people or staff they did not know where to start, but awareness and learning was key in this one. And other things that we mentioned, having internal champions, not always, we don't need specialists in the institution, but also capacity building can work and enable to unlock the changes. Insurance, we have said that it is the missing link, but it is available. What is also missing is how we can package that so that it can be relevant for smallholder farmers and also at the level of the MFI. Yeah, there are many you can read. Also, we would share the handbook so that you can go through when we are done next again, so that we conclude. Yeah, as a level of engaging a wide sector, we know we did not reach all of the MFIs that we are here together, but we were able to have different learning workshop in the past few weeks, so that they also get to understand what is climate, what are the threats, how they can go about it. But what we have seen is that the institutional commitment on other MFI is high, because managers who were together and representatives from SACCO and other MFI, they expressed willingness and willingness to embrace green financing, but there is a lack of formal strategy, where to start and how. So it was shared, but we'll keep the talk so that also if there is also more support and more knowledge, more expert, they can be able to embrace. We have seen that staff capacity, when you ask, do you have the knowledge? It is low. Staff capacity within the current setup for climate finance, agriculture financing, it is still low. So support is needed for development partners. We are here together, donors and other people who write projects. Also, please do include some staff capacity, knowledge about product development. Yeah, it is new. They said it is still new, but also they can make a good use of tools and some technical support if they are available, so that also they can embed that in product development. We would say that climate risk integration is low from the one we interacted with. There is no insurance embedded. Climate risk assessment is not there, and tools. Partnership, it's medium. They have some partner who can support maybe in other area, but we also need more partnership regarding climate resilience in the financial product. Farmer readiness, it is a no, because if there is no non-financial services like capacity building for farmers, yeah, it is minimal, especially when we link that with financial risk. Digitalization is also another challenge in the MFIs, because it requires huge finances and resources that they are not able to provide for now. I would say for now, because it will be possible. Then, and the other financial resources also, capital. Adapted one, because as we will discuss about the challenge, they will share that when you avail your own portfolio at a competitive loan like the one we have on the market, you are incurring a high risk, because agriculture, it is known that it's a high risk sector. There are some knowledge that are needed at the level of the MFI. There are threats, outside threat, that you cannot control. So still adapted financial instrument, they expressed they are not available, so they should be availed as we discuss, or even adapted, so that our farmers can still be supported. And here we are talking of smallholder farmers. I think the next is the last one. Yeah. We would say that farmers, they need adapted financial products, not just loan, but when they are adapted, they are also included. Yeah, thank you so much. I will stop by here, and call for more interaction, as we said. Thank you so much.
Again, ndagira ngo mbashimire mu by'ukuri kuba mwafashe umwanya wanyu mukaza. Uyu ni umunsi mwiza, ni umunsi wo kwiga, wo kwigira kuri bagenzi bacu. Ni umunsi tubasha kumenya uko natwe mu by'ukuri dushobora kuba twatera iyo nkunga, ariko mu by'ukuri igamije kurinda no kwita ku mihindagurikire y'ikirere. Uyu munsi rero hari byinshi byavugiwe aha, hari benshi batuganirije, ariko mu by'ukuri ndagira ngo munyemerere mume indi minota mikeya itari burenge 40 maximum, noneho tujye mu kiganiro. I will make sure that it's as fast as possible because I want to hear from you more. Okay, and this is going to be led by a number of individuals that have been part of this project and have played a key role in the project. Later on, I'll open up the floor to the audience, and you can feel free to ask some questions that you can be having. So mujuri kumva, feel free to take some notes and ask the questions. And by the way, I always advise people, sometimes shora kuandika ikibazo, not necessarily kukibariza in this room, ariko when the event is done ukegera wa muntu ukaba wamubaza cya kibazo, buriya nabyo birashoboka, akaba yaguhereza igisubizo kiri intimate kijyanye neza n'ikibazo wabajije, hatajemo MC aguhagaze inyuma agutera igitutu akubwira ati soza. So you can also do that. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the panelists. We have Gaudence Uwera, Agriculture Supply Chain Financing Specialist at the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resource, Minagri. We also have Hirgwa Iber, Inspector at the Microfinance Supervision Department of the National Bank of Rwanda, here with us, representing the regulatory system that we are here together. Please, thank you very much. We have Gael Imanzi, Climate Finance Specialist at Rwanda Green Fund and the institutional bridge between Rwanda's national climate commitments and the financing instrument that is actually a good catalyst to what we are talking about. We also have Uwamaria Chantal, Chief Executive Officer of CPF Ineza Microfinance and Vice Chair of AMIR Supervisory Board. CPF Ineza has actually been a partner also that was among the 4 that you saw. And maybe to give you context for you to understand why are we having this panel discussion when we've already heard from enough speakers. What really happened, what was the experience, and what was your role? Because remember, the reason why we are here is to unlock sustainable growth in agriculture finance, and we are here to understand our role as microfinance institutions in achieving the climate resilience, smart solutions that we want to achieve. So that is why we are doing this today, and I'm going to be moderating the session. So thank you very much. So how is the government of Rwanda strategically positioning climate smart agriculture within the national development priorities? Because the priorities are different, but where does this stand? And maybe you can also tap onto the question we are asking. What is our role as microfinance institutions that are here? And then we'll be going on. I'll be asking Gaudence to take this up. Thank you.
Narindi bakubabwira ko naturutse muri Minagri nkuko MC abivuze, nshinzwe iterambere ya serivisi z'imari mu buhinzi n'ubworozi. Ambajije ikibazo cyiza, aravuga ati ni zihe ngamba leta y'u Rwanda ifite ku bigendanye no guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe cyangwa se ubuhinzi buhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe. Nkuko mwese mubizi, ubuhinzi ni inkingi ikomeye y'ubukungu bw'igihugu. Butunze umubare munini cyangwa se bukorwa n'umubare munini w'abanyarwanda bagera kuri 79% mu ibarurishamibare riherutse, ariko nubwo bimeze bityo bukaba bukomeje guhura n'ingaruka z'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Nka leta rero ireberera abanyarwanda, ntabwo twakwicara tudatekereje kuri icyo kintu. Twashyize imbaraga mu kubaka urwego rw'ubuhinzi ruhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere binyuze muri gahunda zacu zirimo PSTR 5 cyangwa se gahunda yo kuvugurura ubuhinzi ya 5, bayita Strategic Plan for Agriculture Transformation edition ya 5, ndetse n'icyerekezo 2050, aho twibanze ku guhindura ubuhinzi bukaba ubuhinzi bubyara umusaruro mwinshi, burambye kandi buhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. mfashe nk'urugero nko muri PST ya 5 nkomojeho twemplementinga cyangwa se dushyira mu bikorwa nka Minagri, birumvikana dufatanyije namwe, sibyo? Turebye nk'ibikorwa turimo dushyiramo imbaraga muri urwo rwego rwo gukora ubuhinzi cyangwa se gutanga icyerekezo cy'ubuhinzi buhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Twashyize imbaraga mu bikorwa bijyanye n'ubuhinzi buhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe, burimo gahunda yo gukora amaterasi. Ibyo murabizi, ariko abantu bakora ubuhinzi barimo hano ni bande? Abahinga. Yes, hari imvugo zo mu buhinzi uko byagenda kose, tubuza amaterasi umuntu udahinga ahita yibura. Ariko ubwo ndi kumwe n'abahinzi baragerageza kubasobanurira. Amaterasi ni gahunda ni uburyo bwo kurwanya isuri, cyane bitewe na topography y'igihugu cyacu. Murabizi yuko ari u Rwanda rw'imisozi igihumbi, ni ukuvuga ngo dufite ibice by'igihugu bifite ubuhaname kandi ubuso buhingwaho n'ubutoya. Tuba dufite rero ahantu hose hashoboka yuko hakorwa ubuhinzi. Niyo mpamvu leta yashyize imbaraga mu gukora amaterasi, mu kongera ubuso bw'amaterasi, kugira ngo hahandi bitashobokaga ko hahingwa cyangwa se hari isuri, iharwanya isuri. Hari amaterasi y'indinganire, hari n'amaterasi yitwa ayikora cyangwa se imirwanyasuri. Aho leta ihashyize imbaraga. Ikindi leta yashyizemo imbaraga ni ibigendanye n'ubuhinzi bubungabunga ubutaka, ibyo bita agriculture conservation. Ubu dufite umushinga ku rwego rw'igihugu urimo ufasha abaturage mu kwigisha no gushyiraho uturimashuri ku bigendanye n'ubuhinzi bubungabunga ubutaka. Ikindi turimo dukora ni ibigendanye no gushora imari mu bigendanye no gutera ibiti bivangwa n'imyaka, kuko nabyo bituma bifata ubutaka kandi bikabyongerera umurumbuko. Mwabyumvise. Ikindi leta yashyizemo imbaraga mu by'ukuri ni gahunda yo kuhira. Murabizi ahanini ibibazo duhura nabyo ni imvura igwa nabi cyangwa se imvura ihindagurika, aho ushobora kubona imvura igwa itinze cyangwa se ikagwa mbere cyangwa ikagwa igihe gitoya ariko nyinshi ikangiza byinshi, si mu buhinzi gusa ahubwo n'ubuzima bw'abantu burahagendera. Ibyo rero leta yabirebyeho ishyira imbaraga mu kuhira mu rwego rwo guhangana n'amapfa, cyane cyane mu bice byo mu burasirazuba. Hari aho rwose ugera ugasanga abahinzi barahinze ariko kubera ko imvura yabuze imyaka yumiye mu mirima. Hashyizwe imbaraga mu ishoramari mu kuhira, haba mu bishanga, aho leta ishyize imbaraga mu gutunganya ibishanga kugira ngo ubuso bwuhirwa bube bwinshi, twere kurirayinga cyangwa se gukora ubuhinzi bushingiye ku mvura gusa, ahubwo no mu gihe imvura itaguye tubashe kuhira, tubashe kubona umusaruro. Ikindi ni ubwo nari mvuze mu bishanga, ntabwo ari mu bishanga gusa ahubwo ni gasozi, aho leta igenda ishyiraho itunganya ibyanya byuhirwa ku buso bunini. Aho tuhashora imari, dufite imishinga myinshi yo kuhira kugira ngo tubashe guhangana mu by'ukuri n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Ikindi ni kuhira ku buso butoya, ibyo bita small scale irrigation. Ahangaha leta ho ishyiramo na nkunganire ku bahinzi iva kuri 50 ikagera kuri 75%, aho abahinzi bafashwa kubona ibikoresho byo kuhira ku buso butoya. Ahangaha rero ndaza kuhagaruka cyane ngaragaza uruhare rw'ibigo by'imari mu gufasha umuhinzi, kuko rimwe na rimwe uruhare rwe nubwo leta imwunganira kugera kuri 75, hari igihe bisaba ko uruhare rwe ruba rwaza mu nguzanyo. Ikindi leta ikora ishyizemo imbaraga mu rwego rwo guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe mu buhinzi ni gahunda y'ubwishingizi. Bagenzi banjye bayigarutseho. Iyi ni gahunda y'ubwishingizi bw'ibihingwa n'amatungo, yatangiye mu mwaka wa 2019, yari igamije gufasha abahinzi kuva mu bihombo cyangwa se nukucungura ibihombo bahura nabyo byo mu buhinzi. Umuhinzi agahinga ntako atagize, ariko haje urubura ruraguye rwangije imyaka, umusaruro yari yiteze ntawabonye kandi yari yaratse inguzanyo hehe muri banki. Ubwo rero dufatanya n'ibigo by'ubwishingizi, abahinzi bakaka ubwishingizi bw'ibihingwa byabo cyangwa se by'ibikorwa by'ubworozi, hanyuma igihe yahura n'igihombo agahabwa inyishyu kuko yashinganishije ibihingwa bye cyangwa se ibikorwa bye by'ubworozi. Ibi rero byatanze umutekano ku ishoramari ry'ubuhinzi n'ubworozi. Leta yunganiramo, harimo naho nkunganire ya 40%, aho umuturage cyangwa se umuhinzi asabwa 60%, bikaba byarafashije umuhinzi abona ubwishingizi mu buryo bumuhendukiye. Ikindi dukora mu by'ukuri babigarutseho ni ugufasha abaturage kubona imbuto nziza, imbuto zihangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe. Leta nabyo ibishyiramo nkunganire ku buryo umuhinzi abona imbuto nziza, ifumbire ndetse n'ishwagara kugira ngo ubutaka bubashe kugira gute, bubashe kurumbuka, bityo umusaruro tuwugereho. Ikindi ni uguha amakuru abahinzi ajyanye n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe, tukababwira igihe cyo gutera. Dukorana n'ikigo cya meteo, aho baduha amakuru bakatubwira ngo imvura izagwa igihe iki n'iki, cyangwa se nimuhinge igihe iki n'iki. Ayo makuru tugakora uburyo bushoboka bwose kugira ngo abahinzi abagereho, bityo amenye ngo ngiye guhinga ariko ibigendanye n'ikirere bihagaze gutya. Muri rusange icyerekezo kirahari, nk'uko mubyumvise ni ibintu bisaba imbaraga nyinshi. Leta ikora ishoramari rinini, ntabwo rero kugera ku buhinzi buhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere ari ikintu cyoroshye leta yo ubwayo yakora yonyine. Bisaba ubufatanye n'inzego zitandukanye. Hari ibyo leta ikora, ntabwo twavuga ngo banke nize ikora amaterasi, oya. Ntabwo twavuga ngo banke nize ishyireho icyanya cyo kuhira, oya. Ntabwo twavuga ngo banke nize itanga inguzanyo yo kuvugurura igishanga. Ibyo ngibyo ntabwo tubikora, ariko hari ibisabwa, hari ibyo amabanke adufasha kandi agira uruhare rukomeye mu kudufasha mu ishyirwa mu bikorwa by'izo ngamba tuba twashyizeho ngari zo guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Nk'uko babivuze, Kerekamu yabitubwiye, n'andi mabanke araza kutubwira, baduhe experience, kuko turi hano kugira ngo twige kandi turebe mu by'ukuri dukore ubucuruzi cyangwa se tuzane ibisubizo bize ari ibisubiza ibibazo dufite muri sekta y'ubuhinzi. Hari ubuhinzi bwa greenhouse, amabanke ajya dutera inkunga, nabwo ni uburyo bumwe bwo guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Turaza gusaba rero amabanke baze kutubwira n'imbogamizi bafite mu gufinansa urwego rw'ubuhinzi, kuko icyerekezo leta yafashe nuko inguzanyo zo mu buhinzi ziva kuri 6%, kuko ubu niho turi, zikazamuka zikagera ku 10%. Buri wese rero nabigiremo uruhare. Hari ibyo aba development partners bashobora kudufasha, hari ibyo amabanki adufasha, hari ibyo ibigo by'ubwishingizi bidufasha, ndetse n'abandi bose bumva bafite ubuhinzi ku mutima, cyane yuko tudafite ibiryo aka kanyamuneza dufite ntabwo twaba tugafite.
Thank you so much for that good question. So at the central bank as a regulator, for us we observe these climate issues not only as an environmental challenge but also as a part of financial risk, as I've been seeing in various presentations, and also a development priority, but particularly in this agricultural dependent economy like ours in this country. So our approach now has been moving from awareness to just developing regulatory and policy environment that make this climate smart agriculture financing practical, scalable and safe for our regulated institution, particularly MFI, so that they can remain working in the prudential framework. So with that, we have been engaging in various good projects like the establishment of Rwanda's Green Taxonomy, where the central bank is part of the taxonomy steering committee. With this taxonomy, it gives clear guidance on what qualifies to be a green or climate smart investment, which removed the ambiguity for the financial institution, including MFIs, because currently the MFIs are now able to first identify the sustainable alignment investment, which reduce the transaction costs, and also they are able to structure their product offering so that they can attract the conscious investors in sustainability matters. And again, at the central bank, what we did, as we have had in various presentations, is the establishment of various guidelines in terms of climate risk management. So far we have two guidelines. In November 2023, we put in place a guideline on climate-related and environmental financial management risk, whereby each financial institutions, including MFI, are required to embed or integrate these climate-related issues into their governance, strategic planning, and enterprise risk management framework. And again, they are now required to disclose and report sustainability financial-related matters so that we can enhance the transparency and attract investment. So there are some other three areas I want to discuss, to share with you, whereby the central bank is putting emphasis. First is in terms of that regulatory clarity, putting in place various regulation, and again, integration of the climate risk into the normal risk management activities. One, with that guideline, we requested MFI to perform their climate self-assessment to identify where they were standing. So we reviewed their reports, we shared some areas of improvement so that they can level up in terms of the level of understanding. And again, currently we are undergoing a piloting exercise in terms of ESG compliance. So with these initiatives, we want to assess the current level of institutional alignment in terms of ESG principles, but also we advance these issues of sustainability compliance matters. So some other key concern now we are participating in is the alignment with various national priorities. If you recall well, the recent publication of National Financial Inclusion Roadmap, which integrates this climate resilience into financial inclusion, with this MFI broadening their financial products so that they can facilitate this issue of climate risk. But again, also we do engage in various capacity building initiatives so that we facilitate our regulated institution in terms of risk identification capabilities, in terms of climate risk analysis, scenario analysis, stress testing, and also level up their adequacy measures in terms of this kind of risk management. In terms of incentives, there are various incentives in place which also combine with innovative ideas. Some of them were being discussed on, but at the central bank, we have the regulatory sandbox, which facilitate these fintech operators or fintech firm to come and first test or pilot their fintech products in terms of environmental protection before they scale up those products to various clients. We do also engage in other products like this sustainability linked bonds, which offer the financing, but mainly their financing terms are being aligned with the target. How much of the target are you contributing to the climate resilience? Then you get benefit in terms of financing terms. So there are various products, but again, what matters is this kind of engagement, because these issues have been a very accessible issue, considering how agriculture contributes to the national growth. So it's still a challenge, but there is a good progress looking at various contributions of the engagement partners.
For the benefit of the room, I'll give more context of the Rwanda Green Fund and what we do.
Please.
So we're a government agency. We're mandated to mobilize, catalyze, and deploy climate finance. And the way we do it is through our two facilities. One that is tailored towards the public sector. It's called Inego. And then the second one is called Ireme, which is tailored to the private sector. So, which is where we don't particularly finance MFIs, to be clear. But what we're doing is we're building a pipeline for MFIs. So let me maybe explain it a bit more. So through Ireme Invest, we offer what we call a project preparatory facility. This is where you come with a startup or an idea, and maybe in climate smart agriculture, your traditional banks cannot offer you any financing because they deem you to be risky. So this is where you go through incubation hubs, your idea is tested, and then at the end of the program, you're able to access a grant or recoverable grant, which is a grant that is repayable at zero interest. So we're basically coming in early to de-risk the sector for the MFIs and the financial sector at large. So this is where we're absorbing the risk. We're giving them the necessary required trainings. We're financing the earlier purchases. For example, if it's an irrigation system, which is smart, tech-enabled, we're able to finance it before, and then this is where we've de-risked the sector for the MFIs or the banking sector to come in formally. Yeah.
So I'll give you a follow-up question on that. And I know you've mentioned on the catalyst element, and also I think you're sharing some of the expertise that you have in the different projects to the MFIs. What financing mechanisms are currently available? Maybe if you can tap into that to catalyze private sector investments in the climate resilient agriculture. And the reason why I'm asking that is for anyone here to get to see their role and how they can approach, because again, you are coming in a different setup, and they would love to know how do we connect with you, and what are those mechanisms that we can tap into.
Okay, firstly off is the grants. We have grants that can be offered to startups or your early idea to scale, to start it and test it.
The IREME
through IREME Invest.
Yes.
Yeah, and then those grants can help. You can build your product, your prototype, and then this is where it allows you to be able to scale and access more funding from other financial institutions. And then we have a recoverable grant. This is mostly targeted to SMEs, small and medium enterprises. This is for, it's like you're midway to scaling up. Maybe you have a product that needs to, fulfill the whole value chain, but you're missing one component of it. So this is where we come in. Let's say it's a machinery or an equipment that you're missing, and we're able to help you for you to achieve, your business to scale up and, be able to cut across the entire value chain.
Chantal is one of the 4 MFIs that have gone through the SAFREC project. And Chantal really is a good person here to also share her understanding, drawing from the experience that she has. What insights could you share to anyone who's here in regards to some of the products that you put out and delivering climate smart financial solutions to the smallholder farmers that you engage? Masomo yari arimo ibyo wabonye uko wabibonye cyane cyane ko mwebwe mwari mubegereye mufite uko mwamenye ikibazo abaturage bari bafite ndetse n'uburyo mwabafashije kugikemura, waduhereza no kuri ayo masomo.
Mu banyamuryango bacu twabonaga ko harimo imbogamizi z'ubumenyi bukeya, baradufashije, SAFREC yaradufashije tugera awareness, ariko mbere yuko tuyijyana mu banyamuryango twabanje kuyizana nk'iwacu mu kigo, bavuga ngo twebwe n'iki before delivering services to clients, ni iki twebwe twakora. Turabanza twikorera, baradufashije dukora assessment, tubona gap dufite, dusanga ni byiza ko natwe ubwacu tubanza kwiyubaka mbere yo kubijyana mu banyamuryango cyangwa abakiriya bacu. Twashyizeho uburyo, ubu ntabwo dukoresha ayo mashanyarazi twebwe mu kigo iwacu, ku ma branche amwe n'amwe dufite power backup, dukoresha solar. Byatumye ubwo iyo ni intambwe ya mbere twateye. Indi ntambwe ya kabiri nuko twagerageje kugabanya impapuro, dukora loan origination, dufite system dukoresha, iyo nayo yadufashije. Twabanje kwirebaho iwacu mu kigo. Ikindi nuko noneho aba abanyamuryango bacu dukuba abakiriya dukorana nabo ubu ngubu bimeze bite. Twasanze nubwo dushaka ko babona serivisi ariko ni ngombwa ko tubanza guhindura imyumvire yaba iy'iwacu mu kigo ndetse n'iy'abanyamuryango cyangwa abakiriya bacu dukorana. Bakenera cyane technical assistance. Ubu yabaye successful kuko twari dufite regular coaching ya corded na Sfarek project. Usanga mu mafaranga twabahaye, mu nguzanyo twatanze, mwabonye ko imibare yacu yagiye izamuka kandi rwose byabaye successful kuko ubibonera no mu bipimo byacu. Inguzanyo zarazamutse, igipimo cy'inguzanyo zikerererwa kiri hasi cyane. Ni byiza ko rero abahinzi babona kubakurikirana, kubaha ubumenyi, ariko nanone nk'ibigo dukeneye ko guhindura imyumvire, ntitwumve ko kujya mu buhinzi nyine ari uguhomba. Iyo myumvire niyo ikenewe guhinduka kugira ngo bifashe. Natwe byaradufashije kuko twabanje kubitinya, ariko nk'uko babivuze muri presentation zabanje, muri ya mahugurwa twagize, muri awareness yabaye hagati y'abakozi, abayobozi ndetse n'abanyamuryango, twabonye ko bishoboka. Bituma dutangamo ya mafaranga nk'uko mwabibonye, kandi rwose nk'iwacu mu kigo NPR aba ari rimwe n'igice. Usanga rero byaragize impinduka nziza. Kubera iki? Twahinduye product. Ariko twari dufite ziba refined, twongeramo features za climate resilience. Ese tuongerera igihe cyo kwishyura, bakishyura cycling bitewe n'igihe umusaruro wabo ubonekera. Byaraboroheje nk'abahinzi, bibakura kuri stress kandi ugasanga barishyura neza. Ikindi tukagira flexibility muri interest rate. Niba ari produit turimo, twagize umugisha muri kumva ko hari aba partners bahari bari muri projet. Nk'ayo mafaranga twabonye muri SIDAT yatumye tubaha za nguzanyo ziri kuri affordable interest rate, bituma nabo babasha kwishyura neza. Amasomo nasangiza nuko twabonye ko bishoboka, kandi ikigo, abafatanyabikorwa ndetse n'abanyamuryango n'abakiriya, twese iyo twishyize hamwe tukaganira birakunda. Inguzanyo turazitanga kandi zikishyurwa neza. Ikindi cyane flexibility niyo ikenewe cyane mu bigo, ariko commitment y'ikigo muri rusange twabona ko atari uko ari umutwaro, ahubwo ari ukuzamura abakiriya bacu dufite, kandi nabo byarabafashije cyane babasha kwiteza imbere.
I think what I've loved about Chantal's answer to this is how it started from them. And when she started mentioning yangu yatangiye avuga ko ubwabo bacanisha solar, you can imagine that is something really to commend, and it begins with us. And she tapped onto something that I wanted also to do as a follow-up, and maybe to pick on your thoughts on it in different institutions that we are in. Ichino chijanye na behavior change, and I think we can sit here and talk about the what and the how, but the change of the behaviors becomes a bit of a challenge. And you can also touch on other challenges that you see beyond. And maybe I can begin with Ibel. Since you sit at the regulatory body, are there any steps being taken in terms of awareness to change the understanding of how the key financial partners that you have are tackling the climate resilience topic, and anything that you can discuss, and maybe you can use also that time to tap into any other policies and innovative elements that you are adding in to make sure that it's done, not just understood.
This kind of awareness, they are regular. We have been discussing with our regulated institutions, particularly including also MFI, discussing how far they are they seeing improvement in terms of climate resilience. But when I back on this kind of innovation, there is currently an upcoming very good project which is called the Innovative and Inclusive inclusive and climate responsive insurance solution, targeting which will be targeting the small circles. The diagnostic study is going to commence very soon, but it will also be expanded to other various microfinance institutions. So this will be offering a feasible insurance solution, but looking at the members' livelihood, their risk exposures, but also looking at the institutional characteristics. This one will be a very innovative solution, as we have seen that the insurance participation is still very minimal. So that's when we level up the insurance participation. So for the awareness, it's a continuous process. The engagement sessions, they are very continuous. We have the central bank, with various other development partners. They are continuous because these matters of climate change is not a one-off action. It's a continuous action which is being currently monitored at the central bank.
We can quickly go to Minagri on understanding some of the awareness initiatives that are being done, but also you can tackle on any challenges that you see are affecting this understanding, even from an IMF level and even the farmers themselves, and so that we are able to understand which area can we actually tap into. So to summarize the question, what are those awareness interventions that you're working on for both farmers as well as the IMFs? And you can also help us understand some of the key challenges affecting these farmers today for them to be part of this movement that we are on.
Politike tuzishyiraho cyangwa se imirongo migari, ariko haba hasabwa nyine ubukangurambaga no kwigisha. Dutangira nka gahunda y'ubwishingizi bw'ibihingwa n'amatungo, bavuze ko insurance iracyari hasi, ni natwe nka Minagri tuyishyira mu bikorwa dufatanyije na local government n'ibigo by'ubwishingizi. Ni gahunda yatangiye muri 2019. Twatangiranye n'amatungo, inka zitanga umukamo, ku bihingwa harimo ibigori n'umuceri. Twatangiye twigisha abahinzi babigendamo biguru ntege batabyumvaho, ni ku ruhande rw'imyumvire ku bahinzi. Kintu gisaba umuturage gutanga amafaranga abona rimwe na rimwe atabona uburyo azagaruka, kiba ari ikibazo. Tugenda twigisha, ariko intambwe imaze guterwa ni nziza. Twatangiriye kuri ibyo bihingwa, ariko abahinzi bagenda basaba n'aborozi ab'inkoko bati natwe ni mutudizayiningire iyo product. Inkoko zijyamo, ingurube zijyamo, ab'ibishyimbo bajyamo, ibirayi, baba abatubura abahinga ibyo kurya n'abatubuzi, the same ku bigori. Tubona hajyamo wheat, hajyamo muri horticulture, hajyamo urusenda, hajyamo imiteja. Abamafi nabo barareklama na product turayidesigninga. Ubu ngubu ubworozi bw'amafi bukorerwa mu makeges, mu maponds, nabo barimo. Ni ukuvuga ngo byibura tubona ko imyumvire igenda ihinduka, hamwe nuko ari urugendo dukomeza kwigisha, ntabwo ducika intege mu by'ukuri. No ku ruhande rw'ibigo by'imari nabo ubwabo babyigaragaje ku bigendanye no guhindura imyumvire mu gufinansa ubuhinzi. Kera wajyaga kubona ukabona umuhinzi ntabwo ibigo by'imari bimwumva, kuko nyine harimo izo risike, cyangwa se arabona yuko namuhereza inguzanyo ayo mafaranga atazagaruka. Ariko ubu ntabwo ariko biri, barimo barahindura akadesigninga product ziri tailored kuri specific kuri value chain, akamenya ngo uko finance ingurube bitandukanye nuko finance inkoko, gutyo bigaragaza rero urugendo rwiza rw'imyumvire ihinduka, ndetse no kubijyanamo no kumva mu by'ukuri ibibazo igihugu gifite, nuko buri wese muri sector akoreramo akwiye kuba agira uruhare mu kubikemura no kuzana ibisubizo kugira ngo twese tuzamuke. Murakoze.
Chantal, ni benshi bari hano waganirije, ni mukora umwuga umwe ndetse muhura n'abahinzi. ese wumva ari iki wifuza ko twatahana uyu munsi nkawe witabiriye iki gikorwa cyo kumenya ibyavuye muri uyu mushinga ndetse no kwiga uburyo twateza imbere ubuhinzi buhangana n'ihindagurika ry'ikirere, ni iki wabwira umuntu uri hano?
Murakoze cyane, nubwo twabivuze gutyo ariko progress bisaba kugenda gake gakeya, haracyarimo imbogamizi. Reka manze mvuga imbogamizi cyane ku bahinzi bakorana n'ubwishingizi. Ubwishingizi burahari ariko baracyafite imbogamizi mu mikoranire yabo, kuko hari ibyo basaba land consolidation, ugasanga babahinzi ntabwo bafite ubumenyi buhagije. Nk'uko mwabibonye muri ripoti yatambutse, haracyakenewe kwegera abahinzi cyangwa se n'abakiriya muri rusange b'ibigo by'imari kugira ngo ayo makuru atambuke, babone ko amahirwe ahari, ariko babashe kwegera ibigo by'imari, ariko nanone begere na bwa bwishingizi kugira ngo bafashe guhangana n'ihindagurika ry'ibihe. Biracyahari, imbogamizi zirahari, ariko icyo nabwira bagenzi banjye cyangwa se n'abahinzi turi kumwe hano ni uko ibigo by'imari birahari, dufite ubushake bwo kugira ngo dufatanye. Ni byiza ko buri wese cyangwa ibigo by'imari dushyiraho produit zigendanye n'ibihe, n'abahinzi nabo bagahinga imbuto ijyanye n'ibihe kugira ngo twese turusheho guhangana n'ihindagurika ry'ibihe ndetse no kugira ubuhinzi njyanishabihe.
Arakoze cyane Chantal. Let me take this moment for anyone here who would love to shoot a question. I can easily give you a microphone and you take it away. I can take 3 to 4 questions max.
Gahunda ya leta ni nziza, cyane, ariko ishobora kuba ari nziza mu nyandiko. Ntabwo numvise uburyo muyikurikirana. Urugero, impamvu imyumvire igenda gake, niba ari gahunda ya nkunganire, umuntu mukamuha ifumbire ikamugeraho agiye gusarura, ubutacika intege. Cyangwa niba ari ubwishingizi, itungo ryapfa agashumbushwa nyuma y'igihe kirekire, n'umuturanyi ntabwo ubutaha yitabira. Rero ntacyo numvise muyivugaho. Ikindi, izi nkunga muri agriculture transformation y'igihugu 10% biteganya ko yagerwaho muri 2029. Mbibaza mwebwe mubibona muto, umuvuduko urashimishije cyangwa n'uwakanyamasyo? Simbizi, bagiye cyo mutubwira. Rero nge navuze ko turabanyamuki, turi muri Nyarugenge ariko dufite ibyaro. Umuhinzi ajya guhinga umuceri, ejo imvura ikagwa. Meteo irabitubwira, ariko nyine ingaruka ibyo yatubwiye n'ingaruka ntabwo bijya bikunda guhura. Wenda ndabariza abari mu cyaro, ariko nk'ubu muri sako yacu bazanye dosiye, ishyirahamwe ry'abahinzi rishaka ko tubaha amafaranga bakajya guhinga, hakaza ndi dosiye isaba ko abo bahinzi tubagurira imodoka, tugahita tubihera imodoka ako kanya. Murakoze.
So I would want first to say thank you for the presentations. What caught my attention was a presentation by the Cordiad program manager, and my question goes to the highlights on the insurance penetration, both for the farmers as well as the awareness in the insurance industry. So my question I would want to ask, on your strategy, do you have any focus, maybe now or in the future, to improve this? Because from my understanding is that the awareness is limited, both ends, with the insurance sector as well as the side of the farmers. So do you have any focus now or in future to have the numbers maybe increased as well as the awareness? And that starts maybe from the insurance strategy as well as the governance structure on climate resilience. So what's your focus on? What's your intention to have that improve? Thank you.
So first of all, I want to commend this event because it brings all the stakeholders in one place, and we stop now working in silos, rather do more collaboration and find really solutions. My question goes to green finance. I want to ask, you mentioned the Ireme Invest, if I'm correct. And you mentioned that your fund goes to either MSMEs, the people with ideas, they go through incubation and etc. When you called private sector, I was including myself as a representative of insurance sector, but as you explained it, I was excluded. So I wanted clarification. Are those funds for larger private sector or only MSME and solution providers? So I would, maybe it's one of the questions that Arthur was mentioning we should have on a side. That would be very helpful to have more clarification of that. And then on insurance penetration, I don't know if I can help the project manager to mention that we are doing awareness, but on insurance as a general, but we as an insurance industry are committed to support and bring more solution when it gets to awareness, doing tailored content to whatever needs it. So thank you very much.
Rabobank, some of you might recall Rabo went was a shareholder of Bank Populaire di Rwanda some time ago. Rabobank was even a partner of us from 2005 in the Terrafina program. I talked about it. Rabobank is a bank, a cooperative bank in Netherlands. They like agriculture and they like actually cooperatives. And they have been financing microfinance here in Rwanda. Even I had even Chantal, managing director with Telmo, actually the team of Rabobank was here also concluding they have a cheaper refinancing, bringing more capital to financial institutions partner. And they have been also partnering with us for promoting some specific value chain with the capital, affordable capital. Then financial institutions can then tap in for bigger investments, but they have in the range of 500,000 euros, like 700 million Rwandese francs as a capital to boost those good initiatives. Yes, this is Rabobank. Rabobank was the one foundation. There's a Rabobank like a bank, and they have a foundation is the one dealing with those projects. So now these days we have even the foundations in Rwanda, Equity Bank Foundation, Baker Foundation. It's like a foundation. That foundation has many projects across the world, and we have been partnering together. We had many projects with them. I can recall a conference we had on climate resilience 3 years ago. It was again in a partnership with the Rabobank, and the Rabobank has been also partnering with the AMIR. I remember AMIR had even a Rabobank person, Frank, who is based in the AMIR. It's a good partner, has been partnering with us, especially for those innovations in agri-finance and climate resilience. Thank you.
Ibyo mwatubwiye ingamba mwagaragaje ati zishobora kuba ari izo mu bitabo gusa. Oya rwose turi hano ntabwo dukwiye kwemera icyo kintu. Yinjiriye kuri insurance akomoza no kubigendanye na gahunda yo guha imbuto nziza n'ifumbire ku bahinzi. Nkuko nabivuze ni urugendo tugenda gahunda y'ubwishingizi bw'ibihingwa n'amatungo. Nagize n'amahirwe yuko hari mugenzi wanjye wo muri Beka Insurance uhari hano ashobora nawe kuza kugira icyo abivugaho kuko turafatanya muri implementation kuva iyi gahunda yatangira. Beka twari turi kumwe n'izindi companies za insurance zirimo Sonarwa na za Odimico. Ini gahunda yatangiye 2019 itangira gushyirwa mu bikorwa. Kuba wenda itaragera ku rwego ruri hejuru n'urugendo nabibabwiye rwo kwigisha kandi tubigendanyemo. Byatangiye ministeri ariyo ishyira mu bikorwa, ariko birangira gahunda ibaye decentralized ishyirwa ku rwego rw'akarere. Ubu gahunda y'ubwishingizi bw'ibihingwa n'amatungo ishyirwa mu bikorwa ku bufatanye n'akarere n'imirenge ndetse no ku rwego rw'utugari. Ni ukuvuga ni gahunda yageze mu mihigo kugira ngo wumve ko ari gahunda ikurikirana. Leta itanga ingengo y'imari dukorana n'ibigo by'ubwishingizi bitanga ubwo bwishingizi bifitanye amasezerano na leta. Hari uruhare rwa buri mufatanyabikorwa, hari n'uruhare rwose rw'umuhinzi. Ibyo uvuga uti umuhinzi cyangwa se umworozi utinda gushumbushwa cyangwa agashumbushwa ntanashumbushwe, muri iyo mikoranire hari biba bitagenze neza, hari amakosa agenda avuka. Ntabwo navuga yuko muri iyi gahunda ibintu byose biri perfect, ahubwo mu mikorere ntabwo hajya haburamo amakosa, ariko abantu baba bahari kugira ngo bakosoke. Icyo ntabwo ari ikibazo rero kiri rusange, ni ikibazo, ni case igenda iba ariko bigakemuka kuko ni gahunda yahawe umurongo rwose. Ikindi kigendanye n'imbuto, nayo ni gahunda yatangiye muri 2007, aho leta yatangaga imbuto n'ifumbire ku baturage, imbuto nziza kugira ngo umusaruro uzamuke. Yari gahunda yo kuzamura umusaruro, na n'ubu biracyakorwa. Twatangiye mu by'ukuri, mujye mwumva context y'igihugu cyacu kugira ngo icyo kibazo nawe ujye ucyumva ube no kuba wagisobanurira n'undi. Twatangiye twemporuta imbuto ziva hanze ndetse n'ifumbire. Hari igihe process ya procurement wenda yashoboraga gutinda, ariko ubu ngubu ntabwo ariko bikimeze. Dufite uruganda rukora ifumbire, dufite twamaze no kwihaza muri zimwe mu mbuto zikenerwa n'abahinzi haba ku bigori. Nibaza rero ibigendanye no gutinda kugeza ifumbire ku bahinzi, ntabwo nibaza ko bikiriho, byaba ari amakosa ntazi, ariko mu by'ukuri ni ikibazo cyahawe umurongo kuko dufite aba supplier, tukagira agro dealers begereye abahinzi, tugakorana n'akarere bikagenda neza. Ntabwo rero wenda yaba ari kese waza kumbwira aho iherereye kugira ngo tuyikurikirane, ariko ni ikibazo cyahawe umurongo ku rwego rw'igihugu, bifite uburyo bikora kandi dushima intambwe imaze guterwa. Ikindi wambwiye utese gatandatu, kuva kuri 6 kugera ku 10 target y'inguzanyo zijya mu buhinzi, ati se ibi bintu mubona umuvuduko ni mwiza cyangwa se mubona bizashoboka? Ni nayo mpamvu turi hano mu by'ukuri kugira ngo turebere hamwe icyo buri wese yakora kugira ngo tuzamure uru rwego rw'ubuhinzi. Mu by'ukuri turi mu buhinzi bugamije amasoko, ni nshore nunguke. Udashoye ntabwo umusaruro uzamuka. Niyo mpamvu hazamo ibigo by'imari kugira ngo bihe inguzanyo abahinzi, babone amafaranga ahagije yo gushora kugira ngo umusaruro uzamuke. Ubwo rero nkawe nashimye kuri umuyobozi wa sako, twaje hano kugira ngo twige, nawe wareba uko ukora kugira ngo ugire uruhare mu kuzamura iyi percentage. Ariko hamwe n'ingamba leta yashyizeho, ngira ngo murabizi yuko leta hari amafaranga agera kuri miliyari 55 yashyize muri BRD. Hari ibigo by'imari biyakoresha kugeza ubu, ari iyo Krekamu yabitubwiye, CPF Ineza nabo nabahamya boko bakoresha ari amafaranga leta yashyizemo kugira ngo abahinzi bunganirwe, babone inguzanyo ihendutse. Ni amafaranga arimo nkunganire ku nyungu zicibwa na banki y'8%. Mu by'ukuri ntako leta itarimo ikora, turafatanya twese nk'abantu bagendera bashaka iterambere ry'igihugu cyangwa se ry'ubuhinzi. Twumva urwego rw'ubuhinzi ko ari urwego rufitiye akamaro abaturage, buri wese yashyiramo urwo ruhare, ariko leta irimo irakora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo ari ibigo by'imari byumve bigize apeti yo gutanga inguzanyo ku bahinzi n'aborozi, ariko noneho na wa muhinzi nawe abone inguzanyo imihendukiye, abashe kubona uko ashora, bityo umusaruro uzamuke, abashe no kwishyura banki inguzanyo neza hatabayemo ibirarane. Batubwiye rero yuko bishoboka, ubuhamya twahawe batubwiye ko bishoboka. Ubwo buri wese akore iyo bwabaga kugira ngo tubigendanemo. Murakoze.
What is one call to action or even two that you would love us to go home with?
Thank you MC. Icyo twasaba buri wese urimo muri iyi nama, twabonye ko kugira ngo tugere ku buhinzi bubungabunga cyangwa se buhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere, ntabwo nka leta twabikora twenyine ngo tubishobore. Niyo mpamvu bisaba ko dufatanya n'inzego zitandukanye, baba abafatanyabikorwa mu iterambere development partners, hari ibyo dufatanyamo n'abahinzi, hari ibyo dufatanyamo n'ibigo by'imari n'izindi nzego za leta. Nkaba rero nsaba buri wese ko ibi bintu yabigira ibye kugira ngo tuzamure uru rwego rw'ubuhinzi rufatiye runini ubukungu bw'igihugu. Buri wese yareba icyo yakora, haba ku bigo by'imari. Twabonye yuko mu by'ukuri bishoboka. Abantu bahereye kugira ubwoba no gutinya, ariko baduhaye ubuhamya bw'uko bishoboka. Mu by'ukuri leta nk'uko nabibabwiye ikora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo umuhinzi abashe guhangana n'ingaruka ziterwa n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Nababwiye ko dushora mu bikorwa byo kuhira, gutunganya ibyanya byuhirwa. Nababwiye gahunda yo kugeza imbuto nziza ku baturage n'ifumbire. Nababwiye uburyo leta yakoze ibishoboka byose kugira ngo umuhinzi n'umworozi abone inguzanyo ihendutse, ishyira nkunganire ku nyungu zicibwa na banki. Amafaranga agera kuri miliyari 55 yashyizwe muri BRD. Ubu bigo by'imari birayacuruza bigafasha abahinzi. Turasaba ahubwo n'ibindi bigo by'imari byinshi, kuko ikigaragara cyo amasako ntabwo yabaye menshi mu bafata ayo mafaranga, kandi nibo begereye abahinzi cyane ni na MFIs. Turashima abayafashe, ariko turashishikariza n'ibindi bigo by'imari kugira ngo bagende bafate ariya mafaranga kugira ngo abahinzi babashe kubona inguzanyo zibahendukiye. Dufatanyije rero birashoboka, nta cyatunanira. Buri mufatanyabikorwa twishimira ubufatanye nka minisiteri. Twifuza kubona abafatanyabikorwa benshi badufasha muri uru rugamba rwo gutuma mu Rwanda haba ibiryo. Murakoze.
All right, as well as Sylvie Mugabekazi from CodeAid, they are going to be presenting. Mr. Celeste, you can join us. We would love to know the key takeaways of today, and I think Sylvie would also help us use a few minutes to really put it together so that we can go on and listening to the closing remarks. Thank you.
Good morning once again. So the main takeaway is that any practice to be integrated well in MFI's operations, they have to be well documented in their policies, integrated in their products. Internal people have to show their commitment and be equipped with appropriate knowledge, and they have to show the capacity to use the paper to serve their external people. Those are the recommendations or the main takeaway on the side of MFIs. For CodeAid, this was a 2 years project, and as an NGO that is interested in this area, it always collect or mobilize fund from different donors. So we recommend that for other projects, they include the post-implementation phase where MFIs or partners will need accompaniment to protect what they have implemented. Since we are also or we are advocating for scale up, both for the pilot MFIs or and the wide sector, we recommend that CodeAid compile the scale up or the lesson learned from this phase, so that can be used by other MFIs to scale up, and also for the pilot MFIs to improve their practices. on the side of policymakers, regulators, and AMIR as an umbrella, we recommend that they support the MFIs to address some existing gaps that include the MFIs that have implemented this project are have smallholder farmers as their main target, and most of them use group lending model that facilitate farmers to have access to loan without hard collateral, but there is a challenge in their reporting where a loan that is not hardly collateralized is provided for 100% provision. So the DNR and the other actors in the sector can assess that, because for them, they see that group loan is risk-free, while the regulator and the other actors sees that it is a high-risk loan. So we recommend that can be assessed and facilitate or make easy that requirement of loan provision. It is good that DNR has issued the guideline on how and the requirement for MFIs to show how they manage climate-related and environmental risks. But there is a gap in the implementation, because that guideline is not accompanied by the full awareness and capacity building for implementers. Because if you can see how the MFIs are implementing it, they implement it from both ends. The way there are no standardized benchmarks on how each risk have to be assessed and weighted. Thank you, and we appreciate for implementing this project and for the discussion that we have had today, and we hope that this will bring change in our sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Celestin, for the overview about the project. But speaking from the room and the discussions we have had from the whole morning, the first one would be as a key takeaway, I would say that high level of engagement and insightful discussion is also a key takeaway, given the punctuality we have used for this meeting, and also the level of engagement, all stakeholders being in the room. I think this is one of the very successful events that happened, that we can book in our actions that were delivered. So it's using available platform is for us it's a learning. AMIR was very much instrumental in bringing all of us together, because we have walked the journey all together. But when it comes to running and sharing experience, AMIR is a good platform and to use for us to be engaged and be brought together. So it's really commendable as one of its kind in organizing and bringing members together for such an insightful event. Another key takeaway that we have seen is when we came, we were talking about climate finance, but we are going with the climate-sensitive agriculture finance sensitivity into our process, because it is done, it is possible, and we are doing this at different level. Because if we are in the room, we know what agriculture finance, but climate finance, we are all doing this, but at different level, and we have seen that we can even go further. From the experience of our partner MFI, they have also shared that they still have a long way to go, The third one is about laws and regulation. They are available to support, not to constrain. They are to guide so that we can align and open for opportunity. And also we would cite that there are enabling factors that are unlocked, because being in the room, we are not only circles of financial institutions, we are together with government agencies that have shared, and we have seen that there is linkage between what we are doing and what they are planning. It's all about getting together and engaging so that we can go fast. And you remember we are going with a number, as we have said, from 6 to 10% financing for the agriculture financing, but also that is climate sensitive. Another one is highlighted gap that you have seen that is still evident about insurance penetration. It has been asked, discussed, but we have not yet reached at a conclusion, but still we have identified that awareness is needed. We are together with different agencies that are providing insurance. So it's a call for action so that you can come together and increase a level of, not the level of awareness, but now go into capacity building, because it's still a challenge from the MFI perspective, how it can be incorporated. It is not their process, but they understand it should be into their process. So how are you going to work together with the MFI so that you establish a business partnership? That's what I think. Because when we were still implementing the project, we were wondering, how is life insurance now? Why is it now mandatory and well implemented? Why it can't be the same for crop insurance? Are also smallholder farmers also relevant? Because it is still subsidized, there are some conditional or requirements that are not well understood at the MFI level. So I will take this opportunity also to respond to the question from BK General Insurance about the insurance penetration, but it is still a gap. That's why you have seen insurance also highlighted as optional at some extent in MFI, and others it's still zero. Yeah, at the level of zero. So it should be a strategic engagement that is done at both the government level, Minagri, NAIS, I know they are in the room, and others, so that, yeah, we do what is needed, and Accorded and other development partners that are in the room, we are ready to support, and we are doing that together. So those are the other key 4 takeaways I would like to add that have been discussed in the room. Thank you.
And to officially close it, allow me to welcome our speaker that is giving us the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Managing Director of Muganga Sacco and Secretary of the AMIR Board of Directors. She's going to be delivering the remarks. Welcome, Wamba Ingabire Claudine, to be the one to close the official ceremony of today, which is the National Learning Event on Climate Resilience and Inclusive Finance. The floor is all yours.
I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Mikofin, for its continued leadership, support, and strong partnership in advancing Rwanda's financial inclusion and green growth agenda. We also wish to sincerely thank the National Bank of Rwanda for its continued support and for creating enabling regulatory environment that allows the microfinance sector to thrive and innovate. Our deep appreciation also goes to CODED Rwanda, a long-standing and trusted partner of AMIR. Your long-standing partnership has been instrumental in strengthening the capacity of microfinance institutions and advancing climate-smart and inclusive finance in Rwanda. We are equally grateful to the Rabo Foundation for sponsoring this event and for your commitment to supporting sustainable and inclusive financial systems. I would also like to acknowledge and thank all stakeholders who honored us with their presence today. Our members, microfinance institutions and circles, development partners and government institutions, including BRD, the Ministry of Environment, Minagri, the Rwanda Cooperative Agents, and insurance companies and associations, among others. Your presence reflects the strength of collaboration required for address the challenges and opportunities ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, today's discussions has clearly demonstrated that climate change is not a distant challenge. It is a present reality affecting our economies, particularly sectors such as agriculture. As such, the role of inclusive finance in building resilience and supporting sustainable livelihoods cannot be overstated. As AMIR, we remain committed to strengthening the capacity of our members to design and deliver innovative financial solutions that respond to climate risk while creating economic opportunities for our people, especially women, youth, and smallholder farmers. This event has provided a valuable platform for knowledge sharing, reflection, and dialogue. However, the true value of this gathering will be measured by the actions we take after today. Let us therefore move from dialogue to implementation. Let us strengthen partnerships, scale up innovative financial solutions, and ensure that no one is left behind in this transition toward a green and resilient economy. I would also like to commend this SFAREC project implemented by CODAID in collaboration with AMIR, member institutions, namely Impunga Finance, Kirekam Ejo Heza, Umutangwa Finance Company, and CPF NEZA. This pilot initiative has demonstrated the critical role that microfinance institutions can play in advancing climate resilient and green finance solutions, particularly for smallholder farmers. The lessons generated have provided valuable insights into how inclusive finance can support climate and adaptation. As we approach the conclusion of this successful pilot phase, we strongly encourage that the SFAREC model be scaled up nationwide to benefit all microfinance institutions. Expanding such initiative will strengthen the resilience of our financial ecosystem and accelerate the adoption of climate-smart solutions across Rwanda. As we move forward, I encourage all stakeholders, financial institutions, policymakers, development partners, and private sector actors to continue working together to unlock sustainable growth in agriculture, finance, and advanced climate-smart solutions. Let this event not be the end of a conversation, but the beginning of stronger collaboration and impactful action. On behalf of the Association of Microfinance Institutions in Rwanda, I thank you once again for participation and commitment. I wish you safe travels back to your respective destinations. Have a good afternoon.